Hey there, Tim Sechler, owner of the Sechler Law Firm and the Red Wagon Club, and I'm here shooting a video that we call our Wagon Wheel Wednesday, where I spin this wheel behind me and the folks behind the camera yell some bizarre question at me. I'm supposed to figure it out on the spot. So let's give it a go and see how it works out. All right, so a bucket list item, something I want to do that I have never done before, and I want to go on a week-long backpacking fishing trip. I want to go out, like I talk to people all day long. I'm on the screen all day long. There are times I just want to get away from everybody. I want to take a tent and a fishing pole into the woods and come back out with some big, ugly, long beard a week later. That's what I want to do. So I want to take a week. I'd like to go with my kids on this, probably when they're a little bit older, but that's a thing I'd like to do. Let's do it again. Okay, tip of the day. Don't assume you don't have enough money for a trust, okay? So I hear this stuff all the time about, my advisor told us we're not rich, we don't need a trust, we should just have a simple will. Well, let me address this for a second. There are trusts that are predominantly used for super wealthy people. Okay, there are also trusts that we use for more middle class, upper middle class folks. These trusts are typically centered around avoiding probate, taking good care of our kids, protecting assets from long-term care expense. Okay, so consider this for a second. Somebody with $20 million isn't worried about how to plan for long-term care. They could buy the nursing home, right? But they're worried about taxes. They're worried about different tax stuff. So they use a certain type of trust. But more middle class retirees are concerned about those things. There's a different type of trust that we can use. This is what we teach people in our estate planning and elder law workshops. But don't make the assumption you don't have enough money to need a trust. They can be awful handy tools. Let's do another one. What would Tim do? What would Tim do?
If you had $400,000 in savings and were about to retire and had a child with a partner you didn't trust, how would you structure your estate plan?
Well, this is kind of hard to imagine. $400,000 and I was about to retire and I had a partner I didn't trust?
That's right.
I'd probably get out of that relationship first of all. Second, let me just talk about it. So there's a related thing that we do is I have little kids, right? I trust my wife. My wife is phenomenal, all right? But if I would die young, and I think this is a related question, so I'm going to take your question, I'm going to spin it a little bit. A concern a lot of families have with little kids is I trust my wife. I don't necessarily trust her next husband. So if I would die young in a car accident and all the stuff just goes to my wife, though I trust her, I do this for a living, right? I've seen some ugly stuff. So a couple years go by, she remarries. Now I got somebody else involved in my kids' lives. One thing that some families try to do is plan and leave some of the money, not all of it to your spouse. Don't worry about my wife, she's gonna be just fine. But not leave all of it to the spouse, leave some of it to a trust for the benefit of the kids. That way, if the second marriage doesn't work out so well, there's some money that is set aside, not subject to any potential divorce. It's kind of like giving your spouse a prenuptial agreement ahead of time for the benefit of your kids. So something to consider. All right, let's try this again. All right, we're gonna do some myth busting. Give me a myth.
You lose access with the trust.
You lose access to your stuff with a trust. Yes, no, maybe so. It depends on the trust. So I'd say with this little myth buster here, there might be some parts of it that are true. There are some parts of it that may not be true, okay? So you can set up a trust. For example, certain types of tax trusts where you're trying to actually part ways with the money so you don't get taxed on it anymore. You're probably parting ways with access to the money in those trusts. However, a thing like a revocable living trust is a trust that is built to help you during your life, and then when you pass away, avoid probate. But the revocable living trust is something you can access all the money for the rest of your life. You can do whatever the heck you want. So the prompt was a myth bust, you lose access to your stuff if you put it in the trust. And the answer is sometimes yes, sometimes no. It really depends on what your goals are. All right, let's do another one. All right, so we got some mistakes to avoid. So hit me with a mistake to avoid.
Leaving IRAs outright to beneficiaries with special needs.
All right, this is an interesting one here, right? So leaving an IRA to someone with special needs outright. So what's the problem here? Well, if we have a family member who has special needs, it could be that that person with special needs is asking the government for help, SSI benefits, Medicaid benefits. Well, these are means-tested programs, right? And if you leave the person too much money, whether it's an IRA or not, that person may lose access to their public benefits. And so we think we're doing the disabled person a favor by sending them this money. In reality, we might be causing them to lose whatever government program they're on because now they've got too much money. And so a better idea is to leave money to people with special needs in a thing called a special needs trust. It allows the access, it allows the money to go to the trust. The person with the disability can have access to the money in a limited fashion over time and not jeopardize that person's free housing or healthcare or income benefits that they may have. And so people with disabilities probably should be receiving their inheritance in a special needs trust. All right, let's do another one. Tip of the day. We're going to give you a tip of the day. The tip of the day is to not wait too long to start this conversation with your parents. Okay, this is uncomfortable stuff to talk about. Nobody wants to approach their parent and say, hey, have you done a will? Hey, have you done a trust? Because the implication there is I'm thinking about the inheritance. I'm thinking about the money. And then the parents don't really like that, and it's going to be weird for the relationship. But the reality is this is a very responsible question to ask in their best interest. Hey, Mom, if something happened to you, how do you want to receive your long-term care? Do you want it in your house? Do you want it in a community setting? Do you want to go to the facility? How do you want me to manage your financial affairs? Is it important to you if I stay with the same financial advisor? If you want me to stay with the same financial advisor, I probably should meet that person, right? So a responsible thing to do for adult children is to start the conversation with their parents so that the whole family's on board with what's supposed to happen when something goes wrong. All right? So I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been the Wagon Wheel Wednesday from the Sechler Law Firm. If you want to learn more about estate planning asset protection for your family, join us for one of our upcoming estate planning and elder law workshops where we'll teach you how to do it. You can find those at sechlerlawfirm.com.